And now I'm talking to Fiona Cooper, a Senior Executive Planner in Dublin City Council. Fiona, how's it going? Fiona, before we talk about the next local area plan for Ballymun, could you give us a summary of the history of the regeneration of Ballymun, please? And could you tell us what is left to do in the regeneration process?
Sure, Darren. I guess the regeneration of Ballymun began back officially in 1998 with the preparation of a master plan for the area. That master plan was carried out by a company called Ballymun Regeneration Limited, and they were a company set up specifically by the Department of the Environment at the time and Dublin City Council to carry out the regeneration of the area. The master plan itself was published back in March 1998, and while the impetus for the plan was the demolition of the flats, so the physical regeneration, and the plan itself was also very much about the social, the economic and the environmental regeneration of the area, so it had a much wider remit. Since its adoption, all of the 36 high-rise flat blocks have been demolished, and approximately 2,500 families who lived in them have all been rehoused. And they've been rehoused in kind of new, modern, sort of high energy efficient housing. And we have new neighbourhoods with, new tree-lined streets, and we've very much tried to design out opportunities for crime. So you have houses, buildings turning corners, you avoid exposed gable walls, you make sure the houses are overlooking the streets, the parks, and that there's good supervision. And as much as possible, we try to make sure that people had owned or access to their new homes. Just, I suppose, also very noticeable for Ballymun is that the dual carriageway is gone. So in the past, as you went through Ballymun, the area was bisected by a massive dual carriageway with one single roundabout with underpasses, and that's gone, and there's a new main street with lots of new activity and new buildings on it. So you've the new civic centre, you have a new leisure centre, social welfare offices, a new Garda station, 2 new hotels, new student accommodation, and very recently we've had the refurbishment and the repurposing of the boiler house on the main street. So there's quite a lot has happened. There's a new park, there's new creches, there's a new youth centre, sports centre. That is all in place, but I suppose how the regeneration worked was that houses were built on the open space and people were moved from flat blocks into their new houses. Those flat blocks were then demolished, which made way for the next wave of housing. But as the regeneration was wound to a close, those remaining sites at the end coincided with the crash in the economy, and while they should have been developed for more private housing and commercial development in the main street, that hasn't happened. And what we're trying to do now, I suppose, in the new local area plan is to set out a framework and a strategy for how those remaining sites get developed. So we have 52 hectares of land in Ballymun still to be developed, and the majority of that, so 34 hectares, lies within the Dublin City Council administrative area, and that's the focus for our new plan. So there are quite a lot of sites that we still want to develop.
Just to talk a bit about the regeneration, is it true that the company in charge of the regeneration process has been wound down, but the regeneration of Ballymun still goes on?
Sure. BRL, the regeneration company, which was set up by, as I said, Dublin City Council and the Department of the Environment, it has now been wound down, but all of those roles and responsibilities that went with the regeneration company have been transferred into Dublin City Council. So the regeneration is still ongoing, but just not under the auspices of BRL anymore.
Do you know if the Towers pub and that little small shopping centre there, is that planned to stay, or is that part it's got planned to go, do you know?
No, it is one of the key sites that's kind of covered in the local area plan. The intention is to demolish the existing shopping centre and to put onto the market to have a new town centre development. It's a very strategic location. It's right beside hopefully the future Metro North station, and we would hope that site would deliver new mixed-use development, so new retail, new leisure, new residential, commercial, office space. So the City Council went through a CPO, compulsory purchase process, for the shopping centre for the remaining interests on that site. Only recently, so only earlier this year, was that CPO process confirmed. So we are moving ahead with trying to clear the site to allow for future redevelopment.
Are there any other big plans for the area in the next proposed local area plan?
The local area plan, I suppose I should say that it's a draft plan at this stage.
What's the time frame? Could you tell us that as well?
Sure. So the The draft plan is currently on display at the moment, and we are inviting submissions from the public up until the 17th of May. After that point, all of those submissions are kind of reviewed and summarised, and recommendations are made to the city councillors. Councillors will review that earlier this before summertime, and will either adopt the plan or will make changes. So it either gets adopted by July, or there are changes made to it, and it goes back out on public display for another 4 weeks. And if there are amendments, the plan itself will be adopted by November this year.
And so it's from 2017 to 22, is it? It's a 5-year plan, isn't it?
It covers 6 years. It covers a 6-year plan, but there is an option for the members of the City Council. After 5 years, if they wish, they can extend it for another 5 years. So it could become a 10-year plan.
And you said there that the shopping centre you have a CPO on that, and it's planned to be knocked down over the next area plan. And you mentioned there that you have 35 hectares. You're going to build houses on that. Are there any other big developments in the area in the next local area plan that are kind of really interesting or whatever?
Yeah, well, the plan itself sets out a total of 31 sites that we see that still need to be developed. A lot of those sites are located within the residential neighbourhoods of Ballymun, and for those we're seeking new residential development. Our intention is to develop as many of those sites as we can throughout the course of the local area plan, looking at various means and various models to deliver that. I suppose, for example, the cooperative housing has worked very well in Ballymun in the past and might be a model which we look at again. There are also a lot of sites on the main street, and the focus for them is quite different. And the objectives for those is very much mixed-use development. So we want to bring new retail into the area and create new employment opportunities also along that main street. And not to forget, quite important for Ballymun is the proposals for Metro North, which will link the city and the airport and run up through, hopefully, the main street of Ballymun. So that makes that street very strategic from a commercial perspective. And we would be looking for quite high density development on that, sustainable development, linking in with the metro station. We would also be looking at possibly the provision of new student accommodation on the main street, given our proximity to DCU and the city centre, and also looking at new housing for the elderly. And we're particularly keen to explore that model of step-down housing for the elderly, which is, I suppose, quite common in the UK and other parts of Europe, but we don't tend to have it very much here in Ireland, and we would like to explore that for the main street. And also, I suppose we also have the M50 lands, which is a large section of land up around IKEA. Those lands are located within the Fingal County area, but they are predominantly owned by the City Council, and we see them as future key employment centres for Ballymun.
You mentioned the shopping centre is going to be knocked down and a new shopping centre built there on the main street. Are there any the developments that are going to be on the main street over the next, say, 6-7 years? Would they be all commercial, or will it be a mix, or do you know? Yeah,
it would be mixed use. So that the zoning on those lands is for mixed use development. So we'll be trying to get a balance. You want to get the high density residential near the metro station, and also employment creation opportunities. So, Ballymun definitely needs more retail. We carried out a retail study as part of the preparation of the local area plan. We know there's retail seepage out of the area, and we want to try and recover some of that.
There's retail what?
Seepage, sorry, yeah. Seepage, people are going out of Ballymun and doing their shopping in Omni and Charlestown, and we need to try and get some of that back into the area, back onto the main street. And hopefully we're hoping to have that there'll be a plan application lodged before the end of this year for new retail on the main street.
Do you know yet how many houses and apartments you envisage there being built over the next 6 years?
The plan estimates that there can be up to around 2,000 new houses could be accommodated on all of those vacant lands were they all to be developed. Whether or not they would all happen in the next 6 years is less certain, but certainly we will be hopefully developing sites on an incremental basis over the next few years.
And we have the modular homes in part of Ballymun now. Are they taking up a lot of the land?
Oh no, they're quite a small site. Behind them there's a cooperative housing scheme on site under construction at the moment, and that's going very well. We're not short of land in Ballymun for housing. There are quite a lot of sites still available, so they would be a very small percentage of the overall development.
Could you tell me how long the council local area plans have been in operation, say in Dublin City Council and nationally, if you know? And does every area in the country have one, every big area like?
Yeah, no, at national level, the planning legislation requires a local area plan for every town that has over 5,000 people. For the city, the focus is very much on areas where there is large-scale regeneration or development opportunities. For example, we have ones out in the North Fringe at Ballymun and Clongriffin. We have one in Pallistown, areas where there is significant new development. Ballymun, as a case in point, is an area that has undergone significant regeneration, and there are significant land banks there for development. The areas that we have local area plans for are set out at the city development plan level. So they are proposed by the councillors as part of the adoption of the Dublin City Development Plan, and then we are working through a list of those. There are 7 areas identified in the current Dublin City Development Plan for local area plans.
Oh, okay. Fiona, could you just give us, it's great talking to you. I got a lot of information there from you about Ballymun. I know a lot more about it now. Could you tell us what your message is in summary to our listeners, say people from Ballymun in particular listening to the programme today?
Okay, thanks, Ryan. I guess this is a new statutory plan for Ballymun, and as part of that we want to hear from as many people as we can in preparing it. So whether you live in Ballymun, have a business or work there, or have an interest in the area, we would like to hear from you. The plan itself is available on the Dublin City Council website. You could make a submission online to the City Council website or send it in here to us directly. All submissions received by the 17th of May will be taken into consideration, and as I said, it's a draft plan, so at this stage we would like to get as much information and much feedback as we can as possible before it is adopted or amended, as the case may be.
Okay, Fiona, great. That's great, Fiona. I'll be talking to you again, Harvey. Thanks very much, right?
Thanks very much, Darren. Cheers, thank you.